Let's talk altcoins, shall we? Specifically, when will altcoin season start? Because right now, today, Bitcoin's been doing great. Altcoins, for the most part, flat or even slightly down, with only a few select coins doing well. So let's try to answer the question that's on every cryptocurrency investor's mind right now, which is, when the hell is my bag of pretend internet coins going to go up in value? Now, first of all, before I go through that chart that was behind me, I put out a video on April 18th of this year talking about altcoin season should start in December 2024 using math and statistical averages from previous bull cycles in Bitcoin. Go and check it out. It's pinned on my profile. We will not be doing these same calculations. Let's go over this chart that's behind me. This is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and this is the monthly chart. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what the Bitcoin dominance chart is, it shows you the total percentage of the entire market cap of cryptocurrency that is owned by Bitcoin alone. So as you can see, and this is the monthly chart, right? So for the past year, Bitcoin's dominance has been on a tear. It has been earning more money than the overwhelming majority of all altcoins in the space, which is why its market share of the total market cap of cryptocurrency has been going up. And this very extended rally has been fueled by the ETF products. Crazy, go figure. Yeah, the thing that plugs institutional money into Bitcoin has caused Bitcoin to go up in value faster than most altcoins. Wow, crazy analysis, Will. And when an altcoin season happens, it is when the Bitcoin dominance comes down, but Bitcoin's price is either stable or still going up. That means that while money is still going into Bitcoin, it is going into the altcoins faster. And that is typically happening in about the last year or so of a Bitcoin bull run, according to the 4-year cycle. So with those explanations out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about the chart and the lines that we have here. Now, this pattern that you see, this channel slash ascending wedge, ever so slightly an ascending wedge, is actually a pattern that typically breaks to the bear side, which is what we want to see with our altcoins. Like I said, we want to see Bitcoin dominance come down, meaning more money is flowing into altcoins. So what we want to see happen is, if you go back through the chart on the monthly time frame, I don't have the screenshot, but you'll notice that anywhere between 62.5 to roughly 64% dominance for Bitcoin is a major inflection zone, meaning it is a major zone where Bitcoin dominance tends to reverse and bounce, whether it's to come down and bounce upwards or to come up and get rejected. And we're getting pretty damn close now at 59.98%. And when we zoom in on the daily chart, we can see an interesting thing happening if you go and watch the previous video that I made using historical analysis and trends and calculations to pick that, December 2024 is around the time we should be seeing an altcoin season. Because if you draw this line here, this line is January 1st, 2025. As you can see, if Bitcoin continues on the tear that it has been, it's going to be running up to the top line of resistance of this channel, as well as starting to get to that major inflection point, suggesting that the end of November to December could be, if Bitcoin's dominance continues on this tear, an area where we start to see a rejection. Or what could happen, and this could easily happen with the ETFs. The ETFs could obviously make this extend a bit more, maybe into January, maybe even into February. We're going to get further and further potentially into this major inflection zone, right? Suggesting that 2025, in the very worst case scenario, January, February, maybe even March, we will start to see an altcoin season, with the chance of it happening even earlier in December of this year. Now, having said all that, it is totally possible that the ETFs ruin all of this. Totally possible, right? It is hard to account for the amount of money that can flow through the ETF products when we start to see Bitcoin make new all-time highs. Then there's more and more frenzy in the market. People who didn't buy the ETF already, who, only do business at BlackRock or Fidelity, they don't go to Coinbase or whatever, start frothing at the mouth, right? To go and get themselves some Bitcoin. That could totally result in us maybe even blasting through this injection or this inflection zone. However, this is an area where, if the market were normal, this is where we would start to see Bitcoin, have a bearish break of this channel and start to see altcoins really shine. At least in the short term. Will we have an altcoin season as aggressive as we had in the past? Maybe Bitcoin falling from like 62% down to 50 or 47%? Maybe not. The ETFs might not allow that to happen. Because ETF institutional investors are really only interested in buying Bitcoin right now, as opposed to buying the Ethereum ETF. Could we see, these are a lot of what ifs, could we see BlackRock though, Larry Fink, call up his sales reps and say, hey, start pushing the Ethereum ETF to our customers, and then we see this? Yeah, sure. There are a lot of what ifs, there are a lot of things that we don't know. The only thing that we can do when looking at the charts is try to find areas where this could happen, where the altcoin season is more likely than not to begin, and it is this zone here between 62 to 64%, which in the very worst case scenario, we should be in by the time we hit January, February, or March of 2025, with a possibility of us starting in December of this year.